in Studio C with your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I am Spencer Linton, teamed up alongside Jerem Jordan. It is our pleasure now to welcome in for his BYU SportsNation debut.
Really?
The current voice of the Utah Jazz and a man who has called 10 years worth of BYU football games. Frankly, and from a personal standpoint, he is a big reason why I even got into this business. Craig Bolerjack is with us on BYU SportsNation. Craig, it's great to have you on the show.
Spencer, Jerem, great to have the opportunity. Thanks for the invitation. I appreciate it.
We promised no Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert questions. Is that cool?
You know, I don't know much. I wish I could break news right now on BYU Nation, but you know what? I think things will work itself out sooner than later. That's for sure.
Now, as a former linebacker at Kansas State, Big 12 guy, and I mentioned you've called so many college football games, not just BYU. I mean, you worked extensively in the SEC. You've been to the biggest venues and called just massive college football games. You have a unique perspective about what television rights and television deals mean at the highest levels of college football. So what makes a certain school, university, or team attractive to those high-end television partners that essentially are causing these huge numbers to be put out in the new TV deals?
You know, Spencer, it really comes down to the fan base, in my opinion. You know, the 13 years I was at CBS and I called, you know, doubleheader day on Saturdays in the SEC. I do the early game, and Vern Lundquist would do the late game. But it was all about the fan base, the eyes on the game. And I think that's where BYU comes in to play. Look, independence was one thing, and ESPN knew that it was beyond just Provo, Utah. It was the church, obviously, is worldwide, but also West Coast, East Coast, middle of the country. That's where BYU value lies, is with the eyes on the product. And I think that's, you know, the same with Notre Dame, why NBC had the exclusivity with Notre Dame as well. So it's fan base. It's also TV ratings and how much they can charge for a commercial, and also the metro areas. Now, look, Provo, Utah is still surrounded by Salt Lake City. It's all become one, kind of like Dallas-Fort Worth, right? So the whole Valley corridor, you know, has its eyes on BYU, and yes, up on the hill at Utah. I mean, they've got their eyes as well. But it really comes down to basically, I think, who's going to watch. And the other big part, I think, too, Jerem and Spencer, is the time frame. Where do you fit in the block of television on the day-to-day Saturday, Thursday night, Friday night football? Can you do a West Coast game in prime time? Absolutely. BYU fits it perfectly and always has for ESPN. And the same will hold true, I think, when they hit Big 12, because they're going to fit that middle time zone or late time zone, whichever they want to put them in. And the same will hold true with Utah if the Pac-12 survives, and or if Big 12 comes searching, because, again, it puts them in a time slot that will benefit them from that 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. window when they go triple or quadruple header day on ESPN or ABC.
And we've certainly seen a lot of those. Some fans don't like that, right? Hey, an 8:26 local kick, 10:26 Eastern, which technically it's only primetime for like 34 minutes over there. But it's about being national. It's about being visible, and that means dollars, right? You mentioned the Pac-12 and the Big 12. What do you think of what's going on right now, where we're waiting to see what happens with the Pac-12? They look, or Pac-10 in a couple years, they look like they're going to stay together. That TV deal that they're negotiating currently will tell us everything.
It will. You know, I read this morning, I think it was Dennis Dodd, who said something about, again, the Big Ten may still pickpocket a few teams out of the Pac-12. Mostly they're looking at Cal. Look, not a great football program, but again, it's eyes. It's the California market. Yeah. Oregon has great history. Washington as well. It's the Northwest, and there's eyes on those two programs as well. Don't know if that would probably break the Pac-12, to be honest. Utah would be out looking, and I think Utah obviously is a team, a school that will land, I think, on its feet, whether that's Big 12. I think that's where they probably have to go, is Big 12, if the Big 10 has already kind of said, nah, not interested. So what I like about if Utah does go Big 12 is you have rivalry. And I tell you one thing, guys, that I think the chancellors, the presidents all forget. I get the money. I get it. But the bottom line to football, from my eyes and what I have seen in my days at ESPN, Fox, and CBS, is that the conferences are built on those rivalries. You cannot manufacture a rivalry game. It has to happen over years. It has to happen with big plays like we just saw with Utah and BYU. It has to play into coaches and relationships, Ronnie McBride and Lavelle Edwards back in the day. You know, it takes time to build these rivalries, and I hope that schools understand that, you know, the money's one thing, but you still have to deliver for the fan, and the fan likes the rivalry. Rivalry weekend is there for a reason, and I think you're losing that now when you see the Pac-12 being dissected, and that concerns me. Look, if you look at the SEC, the games I called were multiple Bama, Auburn, all right? I saw LSU, Bama. I saw Florida, and a ton of Florida, and the Gators when they were in their prime with Spurrier as their head coach, and LSU as well. You know, that you cannot replicate. So my point is, when Oklahoma and Texas, who were the powerhouses of the Big 12, depart in 24 to the SEC, I hope they'll understand that they will be minimal players in a title run or a conference championship for years, because it's owned by Bama, it's owned by Auburn. And that's Tennessee. When I did games when Peyton Manning played, they were at the top of the heap at that particular time, but just for a short time. So my point is, hey, OU, hey, Texas, you were powerful teams during your tenure with the Big 12, but watch out. The SEC is crowded, and it's going to be difficult to split those recruiting, top five, those five-star athletes, because a guy named Nick Saban has just an incredible way of grabbing the best of the best.
He is an elite play-by-play man. Craig Bolerjack, the current voice of the Utah Jazz on television, called high-level college football for decades. Kind enough to join us on BYU Sports Nation. Let's talk about the new Big 12, Craig, with Texas and Oklahoma leaving for the SEC, as you just documented, and where they fit in over there. Mack Rhodes, the athletic director at Baylor, feels like, hey, with BYU coming in and these other three teams from the American, we feel like as a conference we're going to be right back where we were collectively, getting as much money in our new TV deal as we are currently right now, which is about $42 million per year. Is that about inflation, or is it that more about the value that these new four teams are going to bring in? Because the idea that per school annual revenue would remain the same even without Texas and Oklahoma is certainly an eye-opener. Are you buying into that?
You know, there's always a way to sell the product, right, or to make it look good, or build your conference up. But you know what? Football has a following, and it's another religion, in my opinion, guys. I mean, I witnessed it in the SEC when you see, and look how BYU travels around the country and shows up in stadiums on any given Friday or Saturday. You know, I think everyone's going to try to inflate their value to make them look inviting in case they want to go out and bring another team into the mix. It really depends on what comes over the next couple of years. And I think, you know, network television can only do so much with advertising and can only dictate so much in the ratings. But the streaming services, in my opinion, are going to play a big factor. They already have, by the way, Amazon and the NFL on Thursday night. Look, Al Michaels, one of the best of the best. And, you know, they pickpocketed him away. And that's going to be an interesting experiment to see if the streaming services can actually survive. Yahoo, Hulu, who am I missing? Fobu. Is it Fubu or Fobu? Sorry.
Fubu are the clothes. Yeah.
Okay. YouTube. I mean, guys, I really think the networks may get squeezed out, and they're making their last stand right now to make these mega conferences and to own it. It's going to take millions. The NBA is into billions, and college football is popular, but they got to be careful. Don't break the success, how you got there. And, my biggest concern, though, and the fans will dictate this, Spencer and Jeremiah, is the fact that if they're not into the schedule, and if they've lost the rivalry, I'm not sure how long that those teams or those schools will stay that interested in the schedule. BYU, you guys know, being independent for so long, when I called BYU games, you could circle the games you wanted to see. Utah State, San Diego State, right? Air Force was an incredible battle each and every year. But then when BYU went independent, they lost a ton of those rivalry games. And so who wanted to see Western Kentucky in November, right, on a cold night in November when ESPN put them in prime time? But, it wasn't the best game, and the stands kind of showed that at times. So be careful for what you wish, in my opinion. I think it's a dangerous time in college football. It's interesting. It's intriguing, yes. But, boy, I'd say when you start breaking up, conferences that have longevity, success, and terrific programs, and the rivalries that the fans pay dearly for on a yearly basis to get those tickets. I know the network money sounds good, but it still comes back down to putting seats, those fans in the seats. And I'm anxious to see how fans react to all this.
Yeah, certainly. Rutgers UCLA might not be a big ratings boost.
No. On paper you go, hey, I got a ticket, right? But it's not the one that's going to, really put a lot of eyes. And honestly, I think Spencer and Jeremy is the bottom line is that will be the calling card. I mean, they'll sell tickets, but who comes? Does it intrigue you in November? Does it have an impact on a conference standing or a conference championship, or I think or a division championship where you get a chance to play for the SEC title, right? Which then leads you into a potential national championship. What happens to the Rose Bowl if the Pac-12 goes away? I mean, Keith Jackson said it best, in my Keith Jackson impersonation, the granddaddy of them all, and what happens? What happens to those the legacy of college football if the Pac-12 and the Rose Bowl's impact goes away? Again, it goes back to that statement we had earlier, was be careful what you wish for. The money looks good in the bank, but in reality, what are you giving up to basically cash those checks? And it could catch up with you, in my opinion.
Yeah, some thought-provoking questions brought to us by an elite play-by-play man, Craig Bolerjack on BYU Sports Nation. Craig, we thank you for the time. And who knows, maybe the Utes and Cougars are back in the same Power 5 conference at some point. That would be fantastic.
I'll be honest. I think it'd be great, personally. I miss the rivalry. And look, there's always that edgy edge with BYU and Utah, the team on the hill or that team down south. That's what it's about. It's about having those rivalries intact. And you know what? I'll be honest. I know you got to go, but Kansas City brought in their a group of people about 6 months ago to understand more about BYU, and I had a chance to talk to them, their Chamber of Commerce. And they were so excited to have a chance to come to Salt Lake and Provo. And I think that they were so sold, and at that time unknowing about the football legacy here with the Cougars and the stadium and the backdrop of the mountains. And I hope that Utah can be a part of that if the Pac-12 dissolves, because not only do you still have the time frame, but you also have a built-in rivalry that is for real. It's not manufactured. If that happens, I think it's a win-win situation for the schools and the fan base.
You can follow him on Twitter @BuckleUpBowler. Craig, thanks for the time. Great to have you.
My pleasure, guys. Take care. Next time we'll talk Mitchell, okay?
Okay.
Sounds good.
You got it. Thanks, Craig.